Hey friends, my name is Steve Gutberg. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show, and today is a very special day. I have a very special guest, and I know I say that for pretty much every guest I've ever had, but today, I really mean it. Would you please introduce yourself?
I am Mrs. Audiophiliac.
Wait a second, you're wearing my shirt. I am wearing the cucumber shirt, now you're wearing the cucumber shirt. That's very confusing.
It's two different shirts. It's a hard concept to get one's mind around, but they're two different shirts.
There are two shirts.
Two different shirts. Compare and contrast. They both have the cucumber fabric, but mine has many more fabrics, different fabrics.
There's more going on. But Robin has made many of the shirts that I wear. Not even the majority anymore, but you made a lot of shirts. Actually, Robin is responsible for the whole shirt thing because you've made all these amazing shirts over the years. And I said, I should wear these shirts on the Audiophiliac Daily Show, and that's how it all happened. But you couldn't make shirts fast enough to keep up with the demand.
It's true. It's true. For a very long time, I had a full-time job, and I'm an artist, and so there wasn't enough time to make shirts quickly enough for the Audiophiliac. But I can tell you that in addition to the shirts that you've already seen, like the crayon shirt and the light bulb shirt, there soon will be a headphone shirt.
Ooh, an audio-themed shirt for the Audiophiliac.
Yes.
Robin is an artist and has been for a long time, even while you were working full-time at the Metropolitan Museum. I work at home here, and I have long before I was the Audiophiliac. So we live here in Brooklyn in this apartment for 31 years, and we work here. So there's a lot of stuff here. People talk about the clutter. Well, there's got to be clutter if there's two people living and working in this space.
That is true. We multitask everywhere. And for example, even though this is Steve's listening room, it's also the gymnasium. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
You know, when Steve is doing his Zoom interviews, he's actually using my computer. It's a long story, I don't want to get into it. And that space is also my studio. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So please, cut us some slack, folks.
But anyway, you know, Robin and I were both movie theater projectionists. That's how we met, actually. And one of your first jobs was this great movie theater in New York, the Thalia.
Yes, yes.
What a cool place.
It's what's known as an art house or a repertory house. I continued working in movie theaters and then post-production houses for a while. But then I got a gig as a film projectionist at the Metropolitan Museum, and I was there for 37 years. I retired last year. My job changed over time. My little auditorium closed in 2004, and after that I was installing AV equipment in the galleries. So that part of my career, highlights of the media installation part of my career, certainly include the Alexander McQueen Savage Beauty show, which if you saw it, it was really quite a spectacle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. But then also time-based media artworks, one by William Kentridge, The Refusal of Time, and also Janet Cardiff's The 40-Part Motet.
Oh, yeah,
that was up at the Cloisters. But then the final show that I worked on was Play It Loud, Instruments of Rock and Roll, and that was a real fun show to go out on.
Yeah, perfect, actually. Yeah.
And Steve will link to all of those exhibits below.
Yeah, so you'll get a handle on what all that stuff was. But anyway, it's great to be there, and the Met is an incredible institution.
Yes, it is.
And the fact that Robin worked there doing tech stuff, but is also an artist, she definitely was bringing a lot to the work.
And the work gave a lot to me. There have been comments below some of Steve's videos that about the quilt, about what people call a painting.
Right.
That's based on schematic diagrams of a pneumatic deck for those vintage video folks, and it's actually not a painting. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm a quilt maker, and so that is a quilt. And we'll also link to a blog that I wrote about my career at the Met, and you'll see one of my quilts in that.
So we met. We were both projectionists, and I was selling hi-fi at this store, Sound by Singer in New York City. Mm-hmm. And I was, so long before I was a reviewer, I was getting a lot of stuff to take home and play around. So Robin, right from the get-go, was exposed to a lot of audio.
That certainly is true. And I have to say that I don't consider myself an audiophile. That said, even as a civilian, I can hear the difference, and I think that one can be trained to hear the difference. Mm-hmm. It may not be a priority, but it's possible to hear the difference. And I'll tell you a story from early in Steve and my relationship, that he was living in a different apartment in Brooklyn. I got there before he did, and I decided I wanted to listen to Elvis Costello's Armed Forces album, and he had a Lynn turntable and Snell A speakers.
Yeah.
I don't remember what electronics.
I don't remember either.
But I happened to be listening to the song Green Shirt when Steve came home, and he was very excited. He had a new cartridge for his turntable. So he installed the new cartridge, and then he happened to start playing Green Shirt. So I had this perfect A-B from the first cartridge and the second cartridge. And lo and behold, I could hear a difference. Now, all these years later, I can't articulate what that difference was. And whether one was better than the other, I couldn't say, but they were different. So it can be learned. It can be learned. One thing that makes the audiophiliac is his ability to listen critically and to understand what he's listening to and describe what he's listening to, but also to remember what different pieces of equipment sound like. Sometime in the early 80s, we were in London, and we went to an audio store, and Steve was listening to a pair of Celestion speakers, floor standing, but not enormous. I only remember they were brown, they were wood.
It's funny, I don't remember the speakers, but I remember the experience. I don't remember what brand they were.
Right, but the reason that I bring it up is that several months later, back home, Steve was talking about another set of speakers, and he mentioned the Celestians we had heard back in London, and he described in great depth what they sounded like compared to what we were listening to at the moment. And I really think that's an extraordinary ability. Now, he's not always right, though. And I must. The truth can now be told.
Yeah.
I think
you're a witness. You witness my my foibles.
Yes, it's true. As I mentioned before, we had a pair of Snell A's, and I really loved those speakers, despite the fact they were the size of refrigerators.
I got to point out, if you say you love those speakers, you are an audiophile. Normal people don't love speakers. You know.
I love the sound of those speakers.
That still counts. You're an audiophile.
I didn't love how big they were, but that, quibbling. But Steve decided it was time for a change, and he just got fixated on beverage fives, which were even bigger than the Snells.
And uglier.
And considerably uglier. And he just, he just insisted these were the ones. These were the ones. And we went to Sound by Singer, where he then worked when Singer was on Lexington Avenue. And he, playing variety of music, and I'm just like, no. No. I particularly liked Laurie Anderson. I guess it was her Oh Superman album. No, it wasn't.
It was the one after that.
It was a one after Oh Superman. And listening to them on the beverages, I have to say, whatever the audiophile term is, revealing... what it revealed was that it was kind of a thin recording. I mean, it just the instruments and so forth, and it was just so disappointing because I really had liked the music up to that point, and Steve still insisted on getting these speakers, and I was outvoted. And I don't know how long it took. It didn't actually take all that long. And Steve,
before I regretted my decision.
Yes, buyer's regret.
Oh
well, even the Audiophiliac has buyer's regret from time to time.
Yeah.
So we never did get another pair of Snell A's, but Steve has never made that mistake again. No.
Yeah, I'm not perfect. I was seduced by the speakers. I wanted an electrostatic speaker, and Harold Beveridge, the designer, I had nice chats with him. He was very cool. I went with the flow. So I made a boo-boo. But Robin was there for all of them, and you heard so many, and you liked some more than others, but none ever came up to the standards of the Snell A for you.
Well, it would be interesting.
Even these beautiful Klipsch's.
I don't know if I call them beautiful, but I do like the sound of them.
Okay,
I do. But it would be interesting if I ever had the opportunity to hear a pair of Snell A's again. What would I think?
Oh man, yeah.
What would I think now?
I think you'd like them. I mean, I've heard them probably 4 or 5 years ago, and they are as I remember.
Okay.
So. What else we got? We got more great stories. Oh, your headphones.
Oh, the headphones.
Right. So Robin loves opera, and she's been watching a lot of opera on the internet.
The Met Opera, the other Met in New York, is streaming operas, streaming an opera every day, and so I often listen to them and watch them.
So I suggested, hey, I got a lot of headphones here by the headphone tree. That's a story we'll get to in a second. But here's some really great headphones. They were Beyer Dynamic T1s, and Robin put them on her head, listened to an opera, and you really liked them. You non-audiophile person, you really appreciated how amazing those headphones are.
They sound great. And yes, the headphone tree. I'm very proud of the headphone tree. The headphone tree grew out of my frustration at having headphones, many pairs of headphones all over the dining table, which is also Steve's office, and every bookcase and every
surface.
Every surface. There seemed to be headphones everywhere. And when I first started Googling to try to figure out, okay, there must be a piece of furniture that, I can organize them a little better, I kept coming up with headphone stands, which held a maximum of 2 pairs of headphones. It's like, this is not going to cut it. And then I realized if I ask the Google for a display stand, preferably a vintage one, maybe that would be more like what I was looking for, and the Google came through.
Yeah.
And what we are using as a headphone stand was supposed to be a hat rack. Steve had the designer, the vendor, modify it slightly because we didn't need the little caps at the ends of the arms. And I'm very pleased, although I have to say, if we only had room for a second one, we could have like a whole shrubbery thing going, because we have enough headphones
For
to
another
fill.
tree.
Yeah, we
not,
do.
Not that size. We don't have that many.
No, we
but
don't.
a smaller one.
Yes.
Yeah, but that headphone tree holds about, depending on how tightly I pack them on there, about 40 headphones.
So you see how serious a problem it is.
Well, I'm the audiophiliac.
Yeah,
I need
true.
headphones. I review headphones.
This is
That's what
true.
I do. It's what I
True.
do. I do headphones. So that was a chapter, and that's Robin made a major contribution to sanity in this household for that. The other big skill that Robin has that she's developed over the years is repacking equipment. I mean, I got to remind everybody, though I wish I could come up with a more precise number, but probably 60, 65, maybe 70 reviews a year on this blog and before. But I get in a lot of stuff that I don't even review. So probably the number is closer to 90. A lot of big things through this room. And Robin helps me repack them and ship them.
Yes.
And that is an amazingly time-consuming part of my job, is just talking to companies about what I'm going to get, but then sending all of this stuff back. It's huge. This thing that we share together in this apartment, which is not tiny but not huge, Robin's artwork, all these decades, and my audio career, they sort of commingle a little bit. Robin's stuff is over there, and my stuff is sort of over here, but they do kind of cross over a little bit.
There's a certain amount of,
Cross-pollination.
Yes.
Maybe. So, what do you have to say? What do you have to say to the male audiophiles who are watching, and that tiny, tiny, tiny group of women audiophiles who really feel alone? Certainly it would be impossible, almost impossible, for a female audiophile to have a female audiophile friend. So they hear about us on the internet and they know they exist. But and you're not an audiophile. We've established that, though you hear really well. But do you have anything you want to say to them?
Good luck.
Happy listening?
Yes, absolutely. Happy listening. Happy listening. Even if you're not an audiophile, music is wonderful. Keep listening.
That's fantastic. So what we should do here is, instead of me doing the closing wrap-up, I leave that to you, Mrs. Audiophiliac.
Well, this is Mrs. Audiophiliac for the Audiophiliac Daily Show, coming to you 4 and 5 days a week. Keep watching. Check out the playlists. Check out the Patreon page. Click on the little like button. Subscribe so you get the notifications that there's a new video. And I think our work here is done. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.